today we're going to talk about markers, okay? Because a lot of people ask, how do you do to blend markers so that it looks really nice and professional? Here we go. Now, when we use markers, we have to learn how to blend, but at the same time, we are not going to use all our markers, okay? We cannot use 10 markers just to make a nice shading. So we have to learn how to use markers in a wise way, which means I will use only 3 values, okay? And just to give you an example, I will take number 1, number 3, and then we're gonna use a number 8, okay? Number 8 if we have shadow. Just in case we don't have shadow or really dark reflections, we can jump from number 3 to number 5, which is this one, okay? So when we use markers, it's always better to start from the light value to go to the dark value, okay? So I will start with the number 1. So if I make a simple exercise, I put my number 1, okay? As you can see, at the end, I leave it white, because what we are trying to do is to make a shading from dark to white, okay? Then I will let it dry, and I will use again the number 1 to increase that value, okay? So I go on top, you see it gets darker, look at the difference. It's always the number 1, but when we create the second layer, you will see that it gets darker. So we have to take advantage of this property typical of markers, okay? Like that, you see? Okay, so now we can pass to the number 3. Okay, so we jump one number, we don't use the number 2, and we use a number 3. So now with the number 3, I will do basically the same process. I'll just repeat it, okay? Like that. Now I let it dry, okay, last few seconds, and then I go again with the number 3 over, starting always from this area, and I make it a little bit darker, you see? Like that. So as you can see, we're already starting to get a sort of shading. Now I take number 5, which is gonna be darker than those, okay, to make the darkest spot. Now, I'm sure you ask yourself, yeah, but that's too dark compared to the other ones. Yeah, it's true. But we go back with the number 3 and we try to blend. You see? Then we go back with the number 1 and we complete that blending. Okay, so we can say that this is the shading done with markers, okay? We can use our number 5 just to make this part a little bit darker, okay? Like that. You see? Okay, so this is a typical classical shading. But what's gonna happen when we're gonna do this on the side view, on a perspective of a car? For example, on perspective. So let's see. So if I have a side view, I'll make it very quick, okay? That's my belt line. This is, I would say, the start of my hood, okay, from my front. And then here we can imagine the back part, like, I don't know, like this, okay? All right? So if I do that, I have my wheel well, my wheels, perspective. This is 1-point perspective, side view. Shadow on the ground, okay? So here, let's say that we get a pool of light, okay? So we're gonna make something simple, just to give you the idea of how you can do that, okay? All right, so here we will have a light catcher section, and then here we have this is a cylinder, okay? So we have the classical okay. So now we have all our lines, right? So the first thing I will do this time, I will take the number 8, because with the number 8, we're gonna make all the dark part, okay? So all what is in shadow, cast shadow, and dark tire color. Okay, so let's do it. I always draw the wheel well. I know that a lot of people don't do the wheel well, but believe me, it gives you the right proportion of your car. Then we do underneath, okay? Okay, so we have our shadow. Now, you have to remember that the technique that we used here in making that shading, using the same color twice, making 2 layers, and then, you know, putting all those so that we can blend the markers, we're gonna reproduce it exactly the same technique on the side view of this car where we have the reflection and also the shadow. For example, this part here, this one here, this one inside here, they are really very, very dark because there is no light going inside there. So we have to make those dark. I use still number 8. And we make those dark. Look. You see, I pass over 3-4 times. Same thing here. Now you can see that there is a difference here. This is lighter, this is very dark, so you have a feeling that this is the tire, you know, the rubber part. Then also here we have to go really dark. There we can't see anything, it's just shadow. And also the wheels on the other side in perspective, which is this one. And a line there, but that's very far. But here in the front, I leave it a little bit lighter. Can you see? Show you. A little bit lighter, because that part it's more up to the front, and it gets a little bit of light coming from the front here, from the top. A little bit there, a little bit there. There you go. And now you have a feeling also of depth. You know, it looks like the perspective plus those 2 tone values, it give you a really depth, you know, feeling, which is exactly what we want. Now, let's take care of the reflection. So I go with the number 1. And basically I put it all over my reflection, okay, like that. Here I leave a little bit of white, just a little. Then I put it down here and here. Don't worry for the pen a little bit smearing, it's okay, no big deal. So now I let it dry. I can still see it's a little bit wet there, so I wait. Now that it's dry, I do the same thing we did here, but the cylinder this time it's in horizontal, okay? So dark, light. So dark, darker. Okay, so now you already have the two values. You can see that there is a sort of a lighter area in the center. It's still wet. Can you see? It's still wet. Okay, it's gonna dry. So I am making basically this area a little bit lighter. Why? Because the body of the car in this area, it's coming a little bit outside, you know? So it's picking up the light. And in order to make that evident, I have to put one side darker, the other side will be lighter. Then here I left a little bit of white, because if it's coming out, it's picking up a little bit of light on top. You know, because the section. Okay, so now I take the number 3. So let me see which is the right part, is this one. Okay, so and as you can see, I go only on top. I don't go down. Not much, really. Okay, we can put a little bit on the hood, of course. You see, now you have a better feeling of this blending, of this shading. And as you can see, I didn't do anything here. I just leave it white. Now I let it dry. And I go again on top. And I always go from left to right. I touch here and then I let it go, you see? So I can control the strokes. I can see, you know, how much they are, where is dark. If I need to make some areas a little bit darker, I can always go there, like here, you see? A little bit there, a little bit there, down here, and also a little bit here. Okay, so now you see here, we have a feeling that the light is hitting, you know, that the body is coming out. So what I will do, I will just take the number 1 again, because I want to blend a little bit in this area. This is too light now. So I go from here and I just add a little bit. I add a little bit there too, just a little. Okay, now it's better. This area, there is a better integration between the sections. Now I take the number 5 and I will make the dark part, the darkest area, first of all down here. You see? A little bit down here. Then I go here, okay, and I do few reflections, you know, those things that I really like a lot to make on my sketches. But the problem is that we cannot leave those two lines just like that, because if we do, it looks like a stripe, like a sticker. So we have to blend it. And that's why I go back with the number 3, now that it's dry, and I try to blend. So I make a little bit darker there, and a little bit underneath, you see? So that it's less strong. Here too. You see, now it's less strong. So now you have a feeling of that shading, you know, that blending. And that's exactly what I want to show you. All right? So in perspective, it's the same thing. Because if I have a, I don't know, if I have a fender, let me make a quick sketch of a semi-top view 3/4 front of this car, okay? Okay. So I have my reflection here, then the other one is gonna be there. Then here I have my light catcher. Oops, I have one more space with shadow. Okay, so let's quickly put the values. So I go with my number 1, and I do the same thing I did before. This time here, you can see how I make my lines to make sure that I can show better what's happening in this area. Then we have a reflection there too, reflection here, okay? So now I take my number 3, then I take my number 5, So I go back with my number 3 to blend a little bit here, just as I did here. Okay, I hope that this video was useful to you to show you how I blend, how I change, how I use my markers. And in the future videos I will show you something that will be less sketchy like this one, but it will be more precise, okay? So that you can have a more clear idea. Let's put a little bit of light here because it looks like there is a car that has no eyes. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. Bye bye. So what I will do here, right. So, as you can see, we have 3 situations. Now, before I start, what I would like to do is, in side view, we can decide basically 3 different types of real design. Okay, we can have a flat one. So if I make a section here, it will be like this.
Ho fatto 2 ore di trasmissione e si è interrotto. Adesso ho riaperto come un nuovo video però con gli stessi codici.
And then, of course, we have our tire.
Quella di prima comunque 2 ore di trasmissione in realtà.
I make the section so that you can understand what I mean.
Mancavano?
Mi mancava ancora 15 minuti prima che iniziasse il loop.
No, dico, quante ore ti servivano?
No, a me per arrivare
All
al
right.
2004
So
almeno.
this is flat.
No,
So when we have a flat
al mese io dovrei fare sempre
basically it's like this,
ore
you know? So what do I do?
Adesso sono sui
I'll
600.
take my light gray. I use a light gray,
No, non adesso, è in media.
like number 3.
Quest'anno.
Okay.
Vabbè, comunque così recupero.
And I give a little bit of shading.
Ho detto oggi il microfono acceso, merda.
Di nuovo?
You see, like that. Then I take a little bit of my blue sky tone, and I can just put a little bit of sky tone. You see? Now, on top of this one, what do we have? We have the sky that is hitting from the top with the light, and in this area it's just a little bit in shadow, getting some light reflection and shading from the ground and from the background, what's in front. Okay, so this part is light and is bluish, and this part it's what is gray. Now, if you want to complete this, you can do it the way you want. You can put, you know, I don't know, big hole, for example. So let's make a big hole, all right? I take a number 6, like that. You see? Then I put another one there. Then I can put another one here. And I make my graphics. And you can do the same thing, of course, you know? And then, because we have a hole in there, I get the black and I make the little hole that is there. You see? Now, one thing that is very important to understand is that in this case, with the flat type of design, the center is here. Okay? It stays there. Now, let's come here and let's make another scenario in which we have this one that is spherical. Okay? So, the section, it would be more like this. Okay, I exaggerate a little bit, but just to show the concept that this is a spherical. And then, of course, we have our wheel, our tire, and here too. So when this is spherical, what happens? The center line, according to the effect of perspective, it moves on the right a little bit. So that's the first thing you have to think of. Then the second thing that happens is that we have to treat the light coming from the top. It will hit this part. And here we get more from the ground and a little bit also from the, you know, the background, what we have in front of the car in terms of reflections. So because of that, we have to treat this hemispherical shading like a sphere. And a sphere, it will be more or less like that. So I take my marker. Okay, where is it? All right, then I take the blue from the sky and I just put it like that. Then I can take a little bit of my, what is it? My number 7, where is it? My number 6, okay. You know, let's imagine this is a little bit like chrome. And then from the ground, if we want to, we can add a little bit of, I don't know, brownish, orangey color, okay? So if we have here some orangey, brownish color, it will be there a little bit. Okay? So that's semi-spherical, all right? Now, of course, here you can also add your holes, you know, the holes of of this wheel. So, for example, I take my number 9 and I can do this, then I can do that, then I can do this, then I can do this, you see? And I can just go and place those area that are holes, they're graphics, and then I put the black to make the little hole, which is the darkest spot. There you go. You see the difference between this and this already. So, and now we come to the third scenario, which is the opposite of the semisphere section. So the section will be like this. So a lot of people ask me, what's going to happen if I do that? So, once again, we have our tire section, okay, and here too. But it's like that. So, first of all, the center line, the center of the wheel in this case is basically in the same spot. The center of the wheel semi-spherical, because the perspective goes a little bit on the exterior, okay? It moves. It's here, you see? In this case, it's the opposite. It goes inside. So this is very important because that is telling you the perspective. You are sketching in perspective this way. So now what's going to happen to the reflection? Very simple. The sky tone will go down because this is the part that is watching the sky. And this one is watching the ground. You see? The ground. So let's do it. Just the way I did this one, I will do this one. Look. Okay. Then I take the number 6. No, it's too dark. I go with the number 5. Okay. To create that transition, you know. Then I go with the darker marker to make that reflection. All right, then I'll take the sky tone and I apply it in this area. And if we have here again the little bit brownish, you know, bottom, this will go here. Just very little, not too much. And this one would go here. Okay? Now, if we want to put the holes the way we did it there, okay, we can do it, no problem. And I'll show you how. We have to follow the perspective and this shape that is concave. So it's gonna be more like this. And of course, with the black, we make the little holes, a little bit of black there, helps to understand a little bit better the shape. You see, there is a difference between those three that is given by the section and how the light and the shadow goes onto the surface. Okay? Of course, what we did here is the same thing here, but taking care of how you have to use the center of each wheel. Okay? So this would be like this. This one should be like that. And this one should be just like that. Okay, I hope that this video was useful to you. Thank you very much. I wish you a very good week and a very good weekend. Ciao. Quick sketch. Let's say that I'm working on a project, okay, and I need to make some variations. And doing my ideation, of course, I am looking for some different type of ways of doing this car. So I am in my research mode, okay? And I have to try different things, like a different side view, maybe a different type of sections on the hood, maybe a different way of doing the back. So when we do those type of sketches, we go fast. We are not gonna make a rendering or illustration. So to go fast, just the line work is not enough. We need to do a little bit more. So I'm doing my, let's say, this design, okay? And now I have to put my marker because I would like to understand what's going on, how this idea is convincing or not. So now I have my line work very quick. I'm not gonna retrace it. I'm just gonna take my marker. All right. And then I'll start putting a little bit of extra thickness where I need it, okay? And I use my marker almost like it is my pencil, you know? And I do the first part like this. Then I do, of course, my reflection. All right. Then I'll do now my marker is a little bit dry. It's okay. Then I do the reflection onto my windshield. The top of my car. And then the back glass. Okay, as you can see, I'm very sketchy. I'm not very precise. Okay, so as you can see, we already have a feeling of this car, but using always the same marker, I will hit a little bit here and there, a little bit more, and then the sketch will be done. So I take the same marker again. And then a little bit more. Now, if you have a marker that is less dry, it's better, you know. I have to buy a new marker. You see, I'm adding little details that show a little bit better the three-dimensionality of this car. The sections, transparency. Now, here we must have, of course, our B pillar. So I put it. Then here, as we know, it's a reflection, so we have to be a little bit more, a little bit darker in this area. A little bit darker the shadow, and then we can use the marker just for the outline, a little bit for the outlines. Okay. In general, the last thing I do is just I take an orange, nice vibrant orange marker, and then why not give a sort of indication, you know, of light. And that's it. It's finished. So I hope that this video is cool for you. Of course, you can add, you know, you can add all sort of graphics. Then if you add more details, of course, then we have a little bit of extra marker to put, you see, the lights and so on. So this is for this week. Thank you very much. Ciao. Car Design Tips is a channel since 2014. Here we sketch cars. To say it better, we learn how to sketch cars from the basics with tutorials, live streaming, and also design talk. Design talk, it's where I talk a little bit about the behind the scenes of the car design world. My name is Luciano Bove. I am a professional car designer, design manager for a major car company. I love to share my know-how with you to help you. Thank you very much. Ciao.